Hi, good evening. So, this is Ruby in Calgary, and welcome everyone, and welcome friends who are joining us on Facebook right now. So, we would love to have any questions if you want. If I don't answer right now, I'll always get back to you later. So, today we want to discuss past lives. It's a very important subject, a very key subject, and it holds many secrets. It's almost like a vault where um, lots of secrets are buried, and somehow we have seemed to lost that key. So we don't know really, we don't have a way how to access that knowledge. So, but yet there's so many secrets and so much wisdom or so much trauma and so much of everything that at some given time we need to. Now, a lot of spiritualists know about this, sages, saints, even the Buddha. And it's very interesting that Buddha, after his realization, he lived 40 years after his enlightenment. And in those 40 years after the enlightenment, he saw 550 or 554 of his lives.
Wow.
Yeah, so these were just the count that he gave, that he experienced these past lives, and in that each one held some secret or some skill or something, as I mentioned, some wisdom and some knowledge. So this is the Gautam Buddha, and it doesn't matter, many sages have said that. So, but now in a way in this world, we are asked highest value is be present. Be present, never mind the past, never mind the future, be present. So yes, definitely that holds value, being present. But how many people are really present? So do we wonder why cannot we be present? Or why are we not present? Because we are just swaying between the past and the future, right? So either way, we can check ourselves, we can try to be present, but it doesn't happen. Also, when we are not able to be present, that just means that there's something in the past that holds us from being present. Something has not been resolved yet. So it's almost impossible to be present. You can train yourself. It's really harsh training because you have to remind yourself all the time, be alert all the time. But it doesn't come naturally to us. So being present is the most natural state. No, most natural state. Yet we can't be present because the mind still is being pulled by something behind. So what is the future? Future is just what you project from your past. So for instance, for example, that if you don't have health or if you have suffered in some way, you think of the future and you think of the future without the suffering. You want to create a future that is without the suffering. So actually your future in a way is based, you're projecting your future from your state of the past.
Yeah.
So in a way, future also is not something new. You just want to acquire or do something that you couldn't have done then, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to suffer that way. You don't want to experience that pain. So you want a pain-free state, and that is the future. So future is never just a whole new, brand new imagination, a new world. It's just a bit of fixed world from the past. So we're talking about the future because why we can't stay present? Why are we always swaying between the past and the future? And that is because the past is always pulling us because there's so many unresolved issues there.
True.
We haven't resolved them yet. So what happens is even when we visualize a future, we only want to see it without the suffering that we had in the past. So if you didn't have money, for instance, in your past, then you would want to, your future you want to design, imagine with all that money, right? Mm-hmm. If you had money, then that wouldn't be what you would want. So when you project your future or imagine a future, it's all based on your past, what you experienced, right? But seldom do we go back ever and find the key and explore the past, because there's so much being held. It's like a vault of knowledge and wisdom and traumas and everything else. But I'll show you how it's not so traumatic.
Ruby, I have a question. So a lot of people talk about a Hall of Records. Is
Yes.
that, and they compare that to is it the same or is it different?
Hall of Records would be where every soul, everything is recorded, where all information is archived.
So when we go
But,
back into
yes.
the meditation, is that what we're accessing?
No,
We're
you
not
are
doing
actually accessing from your own soul.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not, you're not going to be able to access others' past lives, but you can certainly access within what was within your soul consciousness. That you're allowed to. Otherwise, there's no way. Now the key is, when we talk about it, it's very interesting. Being always not fully grounded in the present. When we're not grounded in the present and we're swaying between past and future. Now, when you start to guess what your past lives would be, and you know how a lot of psychics are doing it or channelers are doing it, you can't just get there because you pick up bits and pieces. So in order to actually really acquire the wisdom or to attain the wisdom of the past lives, you don't need to see 1 or 2 or 4 or 5. You really have to go and bring up the entire state of what existed then, and through certain techniques materialize it, convert it into good consciousness, present consciousness. Because what happens is it's so dangerous when you see 1 life or 2 lives or 3 lives, you don't have a full story.
Yeah.
Right? Because people want to know, what was I in the past? Who was I in the past? So my question is, who weren't you in the past? You've probably lived thousands of years. You could be a killer, you could be a saint, you could be a tailor, you could be a shoemaker, you could be a gardener, you could be a wife, you could be a molester, you could be a life giver. It doesn't matter. So there's thousands and thousands of lives. Like, how do you actually judge yourself or claim, your entirety, your entire wisdom by seeing 1 or 2 lives? That doesn't make sense, does it?
Mm-hmm. Actually, in my case, it kind of influenced the present in a negative way, because I heard I was not a good person in a past life. So
Okay.
this life I thought, well, I don't deserve to be well off, or I don't deserve to be, obviously if I was a bad person, now is the life I have to pay.
Yes.
Kind of.
Okay, so here's exactly what I'm talking about. So this was a channeler or some, okay. So not a realized person. Realized person would not come up with that. But so somebody who psychically maybe is checking and tells you you're a bad person, what does that do to you? You all of a sudden start to feel the shame, right? And of course, not deserving. Yeah. So even now you're trying to be deserving, but somewhere inside you believe that story to be true. So once a killer, if you believe you were a killer, you will always hold that. You can do 10,000 nice things, but that part will not disappear either, because nothing disappears and gets converted. So it's really, that's exactly what I mean. In my early years, when I was doing past life therapy, there was a woman who had come, and she was about 55 or something like that, and had been to some channeler or psychic or whatever, and she wasn't getting along with her husband. So this person said, in Calgary actually, that, your husband had hurt you and abused you and something like that. So now she was filing for a divorce. And her husband was this oil company CEO and had a lot of money, very well established. So I said, why do you want to leave him? Well, he killed me. Well, when did he kill you? Well, he killed me, or whatever he did, abused me in the past life. I said, how do you know that's true? How do you know that that's really true? Well, because the psychic told me. She couldn't get over that. So now later I said, why don't you try? She said, should I try hypnosis? I didn't want to suggest the spiritual, I didn't want to promote spirituality right away, because I knew she wasn't in that place to go deeper because she was so much in the mind and so disturbed. I said, go get some hypnosis done. So after hypnosis, she sees more trauma. And then, like, how do you fix that? So I have seen so many cases where people got so badly damaged, actually, by another case like that, where a woman, again, very beautiful woman, she's all of a sudden said, I'm going to sue my father in Calgary because he molested me. I said, how do you know? I was 2 years old, 1.5, 2 years. I said, 2 years old, and he did that. Yeah. And so father is 89 years old. And at 89, he's already sick, and she's going to sue him for this. So I said, how do you even know? Well, because this came up in my session, she said. So I thought, okay, let me just check. Let me do my check. And I did. I said, no. I said, I can't even find one single trace of this, So it's what I'm saying is it's really dangerous. So if you're doing it under hypnosis, it's dangerous. If somebody who is not realized and not fully present, who is not a master or a sage, that kind of, and they know, there's a knowing about them. But if you have just gone to a past life course and done a workshop and think you can decipher and unravel your past or somebody else's, you could be damaging yourself and damaging others. Now, a lot of past lives, people like to feel glorious because everybody suffers from lack of something, lack of self-confidence. So a lot of people also came with that phobia or paranoia that I was so-and-so. Yeah. I was head priestess. How many in 80s were the head priestess? Yeah. So everybody wants to be the head priestess. And in Egypt. And you remember that?
Yes.
And not the cat. So I said, what if you were the cat to a head priestess? So what I'm saying is it's all dangerous, but the past lives do hold the clues. They hold, and our goal is to be present. Our goal is self-realization, which is the highest purpose. And that's why we keep taking births. We keep taking births so we can have all the power, we can realize what we are, and we can create impact upon the world. So we are born to create high impact, and self-realization does it. It's not just power alone. It's realized power. It's knowledge, wisdom, and power. So it's when we come to that, and as I said, it is impossible to be present if you may not have resolved something from your past. Some of the drivers, so some of the keys, which is really interesting. So something that drives us, I'll give you a clue. And that's how you can find out even in your life that what you may have done in some way, not specifics. So your drives, how people actually are, for instance, trying to convince others about who they are or how valid what they're saying is right, how you're trying to be recognized or be accepted. And when you're doing this, that means that in the past somewhere you carry the shame of the past. You yourself didn't either accept, you yourself didn't complete your journey properly, so you have some shame that has come forward, which is actually a perception. It's not true, it's not real, but this is what you believe right now. So it's carry forward of something. And that's why you're somehow trying to gain points by convincing people about what you're saying is right, it makes sense, it's, all of that. When you are driven to do that, I'm not saying that, I'm saying if the drive is sometimes that, you may actually find people who struggle by when they say nobody's listening to me, nobody really understands all of that. There's some terrible shame with you from the past. And here you're trying to gain the points. You're trying to win the people.
What do you mean by shame?
Shame is something left incomplete. Something you wanted to do, couldn't do. So now, if you're a very realized person, so for instance, they want to do something, they're not able to, it doesn't bother them. But somebody who has not realized themselves, who is still immature, will take it really hardly. They'll take it upon themselves. Maybe I didn't do it right. I could have done it another way. How many times in a day do we go through that? Should I have done that? Could I have done that? 10 years, back you go, if I had done that, right? That happens. Okay. That leaves, we don't realize, that's not lack of confidence, that's some shame. Because every time you think that you're not complete, you didn't make the right decision, there's a dip. So we don't realize it, but that's what happens to us. Everything where you feel that you couldn't do the right thing, you didn't, like I said, make the right decision, you could not succeed at something, there's some shame, right? Yeah. When you don't achieve goals, what happens? There's some form of shame. Yeah. So this shame actually is a big driver. And we take birth again and again. So the highest shame from the past becomes your biggest game you want to play. The biggest shame or highest game, that's what you actually are driving towards. So it's really important actually to, again, self-realization, that you don't need to take these things seriously, but we have. If we have not acquired that sense of knowledge, we really believe these things to be true. And that becomes your pattern. And the pattern continues. There's nothing to disrupt the pattern. So this is one of the things. Now, very interestingly, did that surprise you? At some level? We all kind of know that, right? Yeah. Okay. There's another thing that, another driver, that's passion. Okay. So when you have passion. Now you've heard of people saying that if you don't know what to do, if you don't know whatever else, that you can't find a goal or your purpose, just follow the passion. And then you'll end up there. Yeah. Right? Follow your passion.
That's now, so rampant. Yeah.
So rampant, so abstract, so out there. Like, what the hell? What passion? Now, what is passion? What is passion? It's really interesting. Passion is something, skills, a set of skills, a set of mindset that you have attained before. Something that may come easy to you because it's easy, it excites you, and you can win at it all the time. You feel like a winner, right? So it could be, passion could be singing, and I'm singing well, just the joy of singing is fulfilling me, yeah? So also we see in people, all of a sudden, they'll come up with, they're great young singers. Where did they get this skill? Mathematics, where did they get this skill? They didn't learn it, obviously, in this life. So something, skill that you may have mastered and really enjoyed and are really proud of. So it creates this exhilaration in you. It creates like, whoa, I can do it, that hype. So that actually, those are the things that make us passionate. So it's really nice to realize that you're following your passion may make you feel good. It's something you've learned. Yes, you can magnify it, make it even bigger in this life, but it may not, in the end, you may not be able to achieve your goals or purpose. Because being passionate and passion is not a pathway. It's not a means to anything. It's a means in itself. It makes you feel good. Yes. Right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people are getting mixed messages about that.
Yeah, very mixed
messages. Because they're attaching passion to career.
Yes.
How I make money. And so they're following their passion, but they're not doing anything. The career's not working out.
Yeah.
Things are failing, and then they get upset and they're blocked, and it causes a lot of confusion for people. So
you can already see that so passion has its place, but it's not purpose. Yeah. It's a feel-good factor. It's something achievable. You can win at it every time. Something you're passionate about, you possibly will win. Mm-hmm. So it seems like success, but it's not. It seems like success, but it's not. Yeah. This also comes from behind. I'm showing you the power of the past, the power that lies in your own experiences in time and space that you may not remember. Then there's fears. Fears. We don't know where are they coming from. So we look at them, we're trying to find the root. Maybe my parents were like that, maybe society this happened, then yes, there may be something of that. But usually fears come from deep trauma, something you have suffered with badly. So it's like whether it is, could be heights, but it could be anything at all. Some people can't be in a closed place, you know.
Yeah, claustrophobia.
Yeah, it could be many, many issues like that. You may meet somebody and all of a sudden you feel so uncomfortable, it leads to fear or anxiety. So this may be some traumatic experiences. So there's a lot of trauma in a fear of bosses, fear of parents. It's some trauma with authority in the past.
And what about that when we feel good, when we see someone?
When you what?
When we see someone and then we feel good.
Yeah,
We feel
yeah.
very positive vibes.
Yeah.
Without any reason.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Without reason, feeling good.
Well, there must be a reason.
Yeah. Which is probably to start with, because once you get to know the person, the story may change. The attraction is there.
Yeah.
Okay? You can get locked into the attraction, right? But that doesn't mean that it is good in the long run. You just get attracted.
Maybe it's short term.
Short term, it is. It could become long term, but usually when it's like this, you're blinded. Usually in that, in the moment, and you only see what you want to see. So that's a bit blinding. So that will come to with the people. So after the fears, then another driver is usually the people. And sometimes we come because there's soul groups. We come in groups. Nobody really comes alone. Students come together, teachers come with the students and all of that. Scientists come in groups, if you've noticed. A lot of people in Einstein's time had the same theory. They were all incarnated similar times. A lot of sages have come together to create a bigger impact, right? So another clue with people is that people you absolutely hate or resist, you have suffered with before. But in this time, you still may be related in something. So father could become a daughter could become, all of those relationships could change. But somewhere along the line, you have actually suffered through that, and you want to give it another run. You want to give it a fresh start. So you come together. But somehow the pattern repeats. Because like I said, we're always in a pattern, most of us, because we haven't given value to enlightenment or self-realization in our society and in our times. It was high value then, but now it was lost. The goals, the high value was success. How do you achieve success? So this was forgotten as the biggest tool. So our tools became workshops. Quickly, how do you create fast money? How do you create fast relationships? How do you attract parking places? How do you attract people? How do you gain influence over people?
Yeah.
Right? So all of that. So it's interesting like that. So it also goes for people who you really, really like. Again, you're very blinded to them. And these people, you want to give, there's probably another chance, another opportunity for you. Yeah. But it's all coming out of a pattern. It's all coming out of a pattern. Because all these are patterns. As long as you're in a pattern, you're blinded by whatever's happening. Because it's the past you're living. You've never come into the present moment. See?
So how do you change that?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to share. So after the people, I want to share these soul groups who come together, which is really profound. So it's always good to know you're never alone. There's many people who part of your soul who have lived with you, and if you open up your mind, you'll start to meet them. You'll start to connect, So it's quite easy to do that. There's also a lot of support on astral planes, spiritual planes for you at all given times. So there's always, it doesn't matter which time you lived in or 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, 1900s. Now, there's always masters who are enlightened masters, always available to you. That is one thing given. Always, the world has never, human population has never been without the masters. So this is always, you've had the opportunity to break the pattern, right? Always we've had opportunity, we could break the pattern in so many ways. Because you can't start living completely. Because remember, what is the soul's desire? What is a person's desire? To be whole and complete. And to live with the whole, like a full deck of cards, not a half missing. So have the power, have that power to create influence, all those things in place. So the end goal for every person is the same. And every journey, every life is an opportunity to get there. Because there's masters always present.
So
you know, they say,
yourself from that
yeah. When the student is ready, the master will appear. But most of the people, humanity, is just really lost because trying to just achieve things and feel better or feel a little more excited. And that's why in this day and age, we probably have the highest anxiety and depression throughout the world. And that's why we have the chaos. Nobody is really, maybe count on your hands the people probably who are just settled. Yeah, because past, future, everybody, it's all wars.
So why before was less depression than now?
We, I think, had, because we were more grounded, because we had to do a lot of work ourselves, physical work. So there was at least distractions. You had to go to the well, get your own water. You had to go to the post office to get the mail. You had to do a lot of stuff. So there were some distractions in place. Now it's become really easy. And most of the people online, you can order a lot of stuff. So this gadget is your lifeline. Your friends are here. All your friendships, relationships are here on your phone, right?
And the world's a really small place.
Yeah.
Like if there's chaos going on in the Middle East, we know about it here.
Yeah.
Before, people didn't know that. All they knew was their own village.
Yeah.
You know, and someone caught a gazelle for dinner, right? I mean, you know, now we know everything all the time from everywhere. Yeah. Including out in the galaxy. You know.
The biggest trauma in those days could be your daughter ran away because the village knows or something like that. But or somebody didn't like how I made my broccoli. You know, that could be a downer. But other than that, it's really so it's coming back to the and then coming to the disruptor, the end for the pattern. Always it's spiritual, not just religion. Because what is, if you've studied one religion, I wouldn't call you a religious person. One religion is like a cult. Because you believe in that particular system. Now, every other system doesn't work. So there, right away, it separates you. If you want to be called religious by means, how I would at least read 5 religions, 5 predominant religions, right? And then once you have the knowledge and the openness, you've accepted all of that, then you may get a sense of, that is the start of your spiritual life. Otherwise, you're living one God. This is my God. This is the blinder. This is who I love. And my God has these laws. This is the ethics. This is the commandments. And nothing else exists. And we have war.
Yeah.
So just because we've read the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita, you absolutely are not qualified. It's cultish. Right? Because that's the temple I go to, because that's where it works. Most of the people only go to temples just so they can get more stuff in life to pray. Yeah. Who goes to meet God? If you're going to go to a temple to meet God, isn't something very wrong? Because it's here. You're taking your own God and then bowing in front of a statue. Your own God you take with you, divinity, and then you surrender outside something. I don't know how schizophrenic we can be if we're doing that. Why would you not realize that I am taking my whole power, my divine consciousness, and then if you want to bow your head, that's a good exercise, but that doesn't make me religious.
No.
or more spiritual, right? So does that make sense? Yeah. I'm just doing it in shortcuts to give you these are glimpses of how it works. Yeah. Now the key always has been, because remember, so we may have killed, we may have saved, we may have done many, many things, okay? But behind all of this is the pure consciousness, with the power with which we can create this life, this incarnation. The power, the ability to see, the ability to talk, the ability to communicate, the ability to hear, the ability to experience the world and create our own bodies and each other. So that is the pure consciousness. That is the power. So that is the underlying power. So in every given time, spiritualists will say, go back to the power. So the pattern, actually, you can recognize the pattern, and the pattern, when you recognize it, it starts to dissolve. Because the idea is to get rid of the patterns. Otherwise, you'll never be present. So if somebody tells you, be present, ask them that, how will I do that? Because I'm still being driven by my past. You can't shut my mind. It's not possible, right? So peace and deep acceptance of the self comes when we are in the present moment. So what are we going to do today? We're going to do, because all of this is fun, but how do we actually capitalize? How do we make it better? So today we could actually, with our today's meditation, we'll go a bit deeper. Like we did last time, we will do the chant of Om 3 times, but we will do it 5 times. So once we'll do it for the drives that we have, to heal the drives, the old drives. We want to basically heal a lot of the patterns. So once they heal, they become part of the bigger flow, part of the bigger consciousness. That's the only way. Because if you're in a karmic pattern, you're 100% in it. But if karma, your actions, your thought is only one part of who you are, right? There's no karma. Jesus didn't have possibly a karma. Enlightened masters don't have. Yet they say everything. They do everything, you know. So at a realized level, you're not leaving big footprints. The footprint is really light because consciousness space is more. So we want to develop the space more. So whatever we're doing is not creating that deep pattern anymore. And the old patterns start to dissolve, just shrink. That's the fastest way to do it. Because if I take you, I would have to take you into 10,000 lives. And I'll tell you something else right now. There's a new genetic pool, which we didn't have. There's younger kids, the indigo kids, there's a lot of younger people in 20s also, which actually have a whole different value system, similar to each other, not to us. Yeah. Okay? Their whole freedom comes because they've never probably been slaves. So they're not fighting for independence. They're not, fighting to be heard. Right? Because they don't have those issues. Yeah, their entire freedom depends on mobility. Yeah. How much mobility do I have in my life? I will take up a job which I can leave and move. Yeah. How much money do I need so I can easily do these things? They want to experience life. They don't want to hoard. They may not want to buy houses. They may not want to buy these big fancy cars. Because they want to they may be using Uber.
And they don't wait.
They don't wait.
No, if they want something and they just go do it.
Yeah, it's the experience. They never judge. You will never hear about the Muslims and the Hindus and the Christians and the war in Syria, and they will not talk about it somehow. They are more so focused on the experience they can have. So there's a whole new genetic pool. So this is our future, by the way. We're a dying race. Yeah. We're already dying, right? So it's really interesting that we all are talking about a change and we are present at these times when so much is changing.
But was that not with every generation? I mean, every younger generation was completely different.
They may be different, but not this level different. This is radical. We may call it a radical shift or a new, and they're brilliant. Yeah. They're quite bright, but they are not, no ego. No. They will not argue with you too much.
No.
Yeah.
They're just going to say, this is the way my friend has 2 indigo kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And watching her raise them and speaking with them, you might as well be speaking to an alien. They think and operate completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. And you know it when you see them because they kind of have a different appearance about them. But
like the indigo kids?
Mm-hmm, yeah. There's a way different energy about them.
It's a whole different energy
really
source.
Different.
So people say aliens or somebody like that. But in a way, it's just a different DNA. It's a different species that is coming in. Yeah. So, and that's why if you look at it, even last 20, 30 years, look at the fast forward in sciences. Look at the fast forward in technology, right? So even, for instance, your money may not be made through real estate anymore, like as we did before. It may be some other things. Yeah. So there's a whole movement. So it's quite interesting that the world is now, youth is getting fuller and fuller of a new almost mind. So, and we don't have time to go back to our past lives and be checking every life. What is that going to do? We have to be in with the times. So the meditation we'll do today, we will go into the heart again, like the one we will do. We'll repeat the Om. Each time I will actually guide you through it, where we heal something. So we just want to heal and move on with it, and want to feel more complete. That's our goal. So we want to heal the patterns. And how do you heal the patterns? When you shift the state of consciousness. You can never heal it at the eye level where you can see it. So you can see 5,000 lives. Unless you're the Buddha, you won't see what it was about. You know how you read a book, you only get one message. Then every day you validate that message, right? So like I said, unless you're the Buddha or enlightened being, you will actually in a pattern, and the pattern will repeat. So all your friends, past, present, are within a pattern, and that's why the soul groups. But the intervention, good news is they call it disruption theories. They exist.
So would you say then those young people who are completely different, they don't have a pattern because they're already so...
They are not in a pattern, yeah. It could be a whole different gene. Or it's so realized, or it may be a whole different mind to that.
I was just curious because, like, my daughter, she's 18. She's crystal kid, I think.
Yeah.
But she always had with her soul. She can't swallow pills. And yeah. I'm convinced there must be something that maybe she's hand or something like that.
Yeah. But there are a lot of times the answer could be past lives, but also there's a lot of magnetic fields, and there's a lot of chemicals in our food. There's a lot of disturbance with which people actually are getting more anxious. And so it could be the electromagnetic fields that are doing it. It may not be psychology. So you have to, if there's a depression, you have to look at it physiologically at this point. Psychological symptoms are there, but it really needs to be treated at a physical level. You can go into the brain with neurofeedback and trigger the parts of the brain that are a bit depressed. The outcome will change, the symptoms will change. So you don't need to go through psychology too much. Yeah. So in order to go through psychology, you need, again, a very strong mind, because you can't go that path. You could really lose yourself in those treatments. Yeah. So let us go into the meditation. We will repeat for each. We will repeat the sound of Om 3 times. We'll be loud and clear. Why do you want to repeat? It's not a mantra. You're just using the sound to again get all your energy to the voice and project it, so you can feel it in every cell. So you're going to raise the voice with the Om, collect this energy, and go back again into the silence. We'll go into intermittent silence all the time.
I hope I'm not going to sleep.
You just nudge her if she goes to sleep. Just gently. Okay, let's go. So close your eyes. Great. Nice smile on the face. The back is straight, spine is straight. Shoulders are back. Now, to start with, you can place your hand on your heart so you know there is a focus, you know where you're breathing from. So just place the hand and focus on the heart and take equal breaths, rhythmic breaths. So inhale count and exhale count will be the same. Also make the breath soft and buttery. Just it will automatically become, but just be mindful of that. Soft breathing, rhythmic breathing, heart to the brain, clear signals. Let us just start with the sound of Om. But as we do the sound today, our purpose for this first round will be to actually heal the drives. So drives that are coming from a pattern, that are not really serving us. In fact, we may be wasting our energy and time upon these unnecessary drives, which we don't need to have. And if we could save that energy, we could accomplish a lot of our soul purpose. So we will do this Om to heal those drives, whichever time, whichever space they're coming from. So loud and clear, nice deep breath each time. Go back to the breath. Every time you start to think you've gone into the past or future, just be mindful and gently come back to the heart. The healing is taking place now. Beautiful healing. Nothing else matters except this breathing and focus. The compulsion to do things, the rush to do things, unconscious compulsions, drives to attain things for people let this pattern dissolve. Let us do the second round even more forcefully. And as we do this, this will be done for passion, to magnify the passion, to feel the pleasure for the sake of pleasure, to feel the pleasure at everything, in nature, in people, in things, what you do and also don't do. This is to bring up the skills, bring up the joy you have felt, even bring up the learning. So, nice deep breath, loud and clear. Dip into the silence, breathing, silent mind, silent body, heart to brain, breathing. Don't be tempted by past and future. Simple breathing to heal. This time we do the Om will be for fear, for traumas, for setbacks, for every fear, conscious or unconscious. We don't have to think of fear, but as we create the deep connection to our deepest self, to the silence, the fears start to heal, the traumas start to heal. So loud and clear, making it's like a commandment, creating the space that let all the fears from the past heal. All those ghosts in the closet, let it all heal. It's a nice deep breath. Peace, quiet. You have to do nothing but just the rhythmic breathing, and the heart will do the healing. The body-mind starts to heal itself in between thoughts. Even the slightest gap in your thinking will start to magnify the healing. So stay focused on the heart. Very present, very focused. This time we do the round of Om. We will do it for the people to heal our relationships, to bring in those relationships that will serve us and we can serve the calling, our higher purpose, that'll heal us, make us more profound creators, more conscious. So this is to heal anything with people, work, home, anything at all, the world. Nice deep breath. Dare to go even deeper into the silence. Challenge yourself to go deeper. No temptation of past and present. The last one is very profound. It is for purpose, to bring up the wisdom of the past, the lessons you've learned, maybe all those spiritual knowledge that you have, that you acquired, all the work you may have done in any given time. Let it come and become conscious for you. To heal anything incomplete, unfulfilled. To heal the journey that could have been aborted, lost. Coming back to the journey of the self, to your soul. Very bold, very brave, very conscious. And this time, after you do the Om, visualize a color, any color that you will get from within, and hold that color into your entire body, in every cell, as you do the breathing. So last time, nice deep breath. visualize the color. You can use rainbow, any other color. Focus on the breath. Stay in silence. I'm going to do the final healing chant to bring all the energies together so you can feel full, complete, and whole, and be present to everything that you are. So stay silent, alert. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Namo Shivaya. For peace, for love, for self-realization, enlightenment. Fully present. this silence, this breathing is the fastest way to dissolve any karmic patterns. Because as long as you're in the old patterns, you will not be present to all that you are. Feel how light your body is, how light the consciousness, the energy is. This is not just in you. You're not just what is within the skin. You're everywhere. So I want you to just open your eyes. Rub your hands. Take a nice deep breath.
Almost.
Almost, you made it. Good. That's great. Okay.
Because it takes me completely out.
Yeah. Are you able to do 2 minutes at a time? The breathing from the heart?
Like faster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you do it 2 minutes at a time, it starts to really help. But we'll just we've actually gone beyond our time, so just a couple more minutes. Anything that anybody wants to share?
Very lightheaded.
Lightheaded, okay.
That was great.
Yeah. So you see, otherwise the mind feels so heavy. It's not in measure weight, but because we're thinking and we're overthinking and obsessively and compulsively thinking. So that is all the past. If you didn't have the weight of the past, you'd be a really light thinker. You would just go in and out, think and do it and think. And it's just like a fish swimming in water. Yeah, wouldn't have footprints. But that heavy duty thinking and fear and all of that stuff is people are so always wanting to save themselves, that everything, whether it's relationship, whether it's a business venture, they just want to profit and never want to lose a thing. And it's not a profit in life or lost life, you know. It's not that success we're looking for. The highest level of success you can ever have is actually go in and out of lives, make the largest impacts, and just always remain clear and free. A lot of your masters also come. They don't have karma, the sages, Jesus or Guru Nanak, a lot of prophets come. They don't come here because they had karma. A lot of enlightened people actually come because they want to help you create a larger impact. And there's always living masters, always. So that's kind of nice to know that you're never alone. If you choose to be karmic free, then you follow. And also the strategies have changed. They're no longer 12 years of penance and years of spiritual practices. Everything is really now to this age. In the Google age, everything is fast. So just this sort of breathing creates the intervention, the disruption, and it stops. Once you start to break the patterns without even knowing them, you don't have to analyze your patterns because the more you analyze, the more you're feeding the pattern. It's not going to go away, it's going to get bigger. Just because I understand, now I have to carry the weight of my understanding too, right? That's weight too. My knowledge also is a weight. It all ends up as ego, a big fat ego in the end.
But how you can move on or something happen?
You will always have, because you always have knowledge. You'll just, in the moment, always know what to do. When there's a truck coming right in front, what do? Just jump or save a child or do something. How does that happen? Everybody knows there's this entire knowing in you. And intuitively, instinctively, we just access it in the given time, you know. But if you are thinking too much, you only think from the box, only from what you remember. So you don't get really out of the box, or you don't get brilliant ideas. You're always confined in space. So there's never a time you will not know. That isn't given. But you will not know if you're thinking too much. You lose the knowing, and the thinking will show up. So yeah, if you want to do a project, you can think about it, get it done out, right? But then will it happen? Will it not? How will? All of that is the extra burden there.
So a question to the meditation. I still feel the meditation itself seems to be very deep.
Yes.
But coming out is really hard, and it's still like a hangover.
Yeah, it is a hangover.
Because of the thinking too
Yeah.
much?
You're going deep, and it's almost like you've traveled many miles, many dimensions, or different frequencies. So when you come to the state, it's like a hangover. It takes time.
So that's not something
it's normal.
Overthinking, because I didn't think I was thinking.
The hangover can come, the effect of a hangover can come because you went so deep, and just then you're coming back to the mental energy again. And it takes a while to get your grounding. Yeah. So that's normal. That's good. Yeah. It takes time. So that's why you can rub your hands, you can actually pat your body, and you'll come back. But the deeper you go, the deeper the hangover can be. Yeah, it's okay. This type of hangover without alcohol is good news.
I'll just stay here.
Many monks and saints were in intoxicated states, not because they were drinking or doing drugs, because they went so deep. And then in the physical energy world, it was a whole different world of frequency, dimension. So they had to get their bearings.
There's always people, like you said, you were very light. You felt very light.
Yes.
Or people felt more energized.
No, it's different effects. Yeah. Different days could also be different effects. Yeah. So you girls got something from it today? Yeah? I was watching you move. Your body was kind of saying, oh yeah, okay, I could see that. You were speaking without speaking.
Oh yeah.
I could hear you. That's great. I'm going to close this session for those who are joined us from many other places too. So thank you all for joining us. Join us again in future for more insight and more spiritual smarts and just more grounding so you could be more present. And always remember, if you're not present, you're being pulled by something from the past. You don't need to know it, but just these interventions that I share will bring you more into being full, complete, and present, so you can create a great impact on your life and that of others. So thank you so much.
Namaste.
Love you.
Thank you very
Namaste.
much.
Yeah.